And very late in the day in America, former US President Donald Trump addressed a triumphant Republican event in Florida and formally claimed victory over Kamala Harris and the Democrats. Now, this came after pollsters had declared multiple crucial swing states in favor of Donald Trump, including North Carolina and Georgia and the all-important state of Pennsylvania. This time round, Trump even claimed the popular vote, something that he hadn't done when he beat Hillary Clinton to the presidential race in 2016. Accompanied by his family, including his wife Melania and daughter Ivanka, as well as his vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance, and his wife Usha Vance, Trump declared his intention to fix America, hailed Elon Musk as a star, and also received congratulations from several leaders from across the world. Let's hear what Trump had to say in his victory speech.
But it's a political victory that our country has never seen before, nothing like this. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America. Let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon. But he's a character, he's a special guy, he's a super genius. We have to protect our geniuses. We don't have that many of them. Many people have told me that God spared my life for a reason. And that reason was to save our country and to restore America to greatness. And now we are going to fulfill that mission together. We're going to fulfill that mission.
Well, Donald Trump decided to, of course, invoke Elon Musk in that speech that he delivered, the victory speech that he delivered in Florida. And there's an immediate consequence of that. The Tesla engine is roaring. As per the pre-market trades, the shares are up by approximately 12% in the pre-market trade. Let me, in fact, immediately go across to Malvika, who's joining us from Washington, D.C. She's been keeping a very close eye on the presidential campaign. Malvika, Elon Musk was mentioned in that speech, that victory speech that was delivered by Donald Trump not too long ago. And not very long after that, a 12% jump in the market trades for Tesla.
Well, Elon Musk has been closely supporting Donald Trump since the inception of his campaign. And then he was also heading the PAC, which was giving $1 million each day until the voting day to prospective voters who signed a petition favoring gun rights and favoring freedom of speech. And we, in fact, have one such voter with us. He's a Republican. Please, could you tell us your name? And, Trump has won. You were also a part of the campaigning journey for Trump.
No. I was not part of his campaign journey. I was very independent. I was just like every other American who realized that Americans have lost their standing in the world. Elected officials, particularly the Democratic Party, care more about migrants than they care about everyday Americans. People are struggling at the grocery store, putting basic food on the table, wondering about the future of their child's education because our educational scores continue to plummet. They want to push books about DEI and gender affirming and transgenderism. We have foreign wars that did not exist when Donald Trump was in power. The American people repudiate the policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for the last 4 years. But they seem to want to focus on the fact as if Donald Trump had been serving as president for the last 4 years. She never had a compelling, comprehensive, and a message that people understood. She only went into softball interviews and she avoided tough questioning by the mainstream media. And she was just absolutely in a state of shock. And that's why it was a sweep. The American people have spoken. Foreign entities may not understand why Donald Trump is back in power, no matter how flawed he is and no matter how indictments. Americans will take care of their own character. They want a ferocious leader in the White House.
Sure. And do you think the assassination attempts on Trump also had any implications for the fact that he has now won the election? Was there a sympathy vote?
But I think it was very spiritual. I think people thought that God had a plan for him, a greater plan, particularly given the assassination attempt on his life and how he stood up and he raised his fist in the air. Look, we understand that Trump is imperfect. Okay, everybody knows he's imperfect, but one thing we believe is that he loves Americans. He will put Americans first. He understands their needs, and the fact that he is president, his being president will make migrants think twice and asylum seekers thinking twice about crossing our borders. Americans just wanted a new direction, and they got it.
Wonderful. It was a pleasure talking to you. We were talking to a Trump supporter, and he has been saying that, the key factors which led to Trump's victory were that he has a very clear vision for America, even though he does have some limitations, but he is pro-America, and the American people believe that he is going to come up with policies that are in their interest.
Right. Stay with us, Malvika. It seems to be a fairly comprehensive victory right now for Donald Trump, and not as close as what some of the pollsters had earlier predicted. So what are some of the key takeaways now from this election? We've listed some for you. The biggest one, of course, is that Donald Trump has claimed that he's won, and he's won outright, and that this hasn't been challenged by anybody so far from within the Democratic camp. He's also claimed to have won the popular vote, which is academic but also significant. Remember that when he won the presidential election in 2016, he had actually lost out on the popular vote, but he won the Electoral College vote against Hillary Clinton. He's also poised to win several of the swing states as well, perhaps even all. Every indication is that the much-touted blue wall of the 5 states that Joe Biden had won in 2020 has now also fallen. Alongside this, the Republicans have also wrested the Senate from the Democrats, and they're also awaiting to know whether they'll retain the House of Representatives as well. And if they do manage to do that, then Trump will be an enormously powerful president for at least the first couple of years. Coming back to Joe Biden, his late-stage comment calling Donald Trump supporters as garbage has actually backfired on the Democratic camp. And as per the trends, Kamala Harris has underperformed with key groups as well, the key demographies, including the Latino community, the Black community, and also first-time voters. Now, the win, once it is ratified, is historic for a number of reasons. For one, Donald Trump will become the oldest to take the oath as President of the United States at the age of 78 years. He's also older than Joe Biden was 4 years ago when Joe Biden had become the president. He's also the first in over 125 years to win non-consecutive terms as president, that is to return after a loss as he had done in 2020 when Joe Biden had emerged victorious. Now, this hasn't been done since the late 1800s. He's also the first person to be elected into the White House after being impeached and also indicted. Now, several leaders from across the world congratulated Donald Trump on his victory. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was among them, and while doing so, he shared photographs of their camaraderie, of their bonhomie from Trump's previous presidency. Congratulating his friend Trump, the Prime Minister wrote, and I quote, "As you build on the successes of your previous term, I look forward to renewing our collaboration to further strengthen the Indo-US comprehensive global and strategic partnership. Together, let's work for the betterment of our people and to promote global peace, stability, as well as prosperity," stop quote. Now, Trump also received good wishes from Italy's Giorgia Meloni, the EU's Ursula von der Leyen, France's Emmanuel Macron, Hungary's Viktor Orban, who was in fact the first head of state to congratulate Trump upon his victory, and 2 heads of state that are currently involved in wars, Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky. But it was Prime Minister Modi's wish that caught the eye, particularly since Indian Americans played such a big role in the election. Remember, the Indian American community in the United States is about 4.5 million strong. Trump, interestingly, had spoken about Prime Minister Modi very recently during the last few weeks of his campaign, and here's what he had to say. But before that, let me in fact go across to Malvika once again. Malvika, what's actually stood out this time round is the fact that we've seen a backlash against the Democrats, much like we saw in 2016. Back then, Hillary Clinton had actually labeled Trump supporters as a basket of deplorables. That was basically repeated this time round when Joe Biden called Trump supporters as garbage. Obviously, the electorate in the United States has not taken too kindly to these kinds of remarks.
Well, that's true. The entire political rhetoric and the manner in which both the candidates were approaching their campaigns, there were many below-the-belt comments that were made. And the comment that Biden made regarding Trump supporters being garbage was actually in response to a comedian coming out and saying that the Puerto Rican people were garbage, and that was supported by Trump. But I think the way the message spread and the way it was amplified by the Trump campaign, by the time Biden came out with an apology and a clarification, it was too late. The message had been communicated that somehow President Biden thought that people of United States, those who were supporting Trump, were garbage, and the damage had already been done. So it is pretty clear that the people have spoken. The popular vote and the electoral college vote is in Trump's favor, and Trump is the next president of the United States. We were earlier talking about Elon Musk and how Tesla shares have jumped, and I was mentioning that, Elon Musk has been a close supporter of Trump since the beginning of his campaign, and he's likely to get a senior role in the government, and that has been emphasized and made clear by Donald Trump. So it's not a surprise that companies that he is supporting are seeing favorable response from the market.
Right. Stay with us, Malvika, because the Indian-American community now wields a significant amount of influence in the United States. While Kamala Harris hasn't spoken yet, she's also not challenged Trump's victory claim, which is a reasonably good indication so far that this election is now dead and dusted. And this was certainly the word on the streets in the United States as the MAGA supporters were out in force. This also included several people of Indian origin as well. Let's listen to what the American Aam Aadmi has had to say about the election so far.
I'm a lifelong Democrat, and I support Trump because I think he's the only one that can save America, save Israel, and save the world. Well, I think Trump is doing very well in a bunch of places. There's a couple of states that are still toss-ups, which is okay. Let's figure out what's happening. It's still early voting. And I think so far it's looking good. He's not doing bad. And in states that I thought he would do much worse, he's doing very well. So I'm very excited about it. And I think we're going to pull it off.
Well, Trump's winning, so the numbers are great. And hopefully that he keeps winning. And he's our next president.
I'm a first-time voter. I did vote for President Donald Trump. President Donald Trump follows my Christian values, and a lot of the things that he stands for, I stand for as well. I think he's going to be the best candidate for this country, the best president for this country, and I'm just so excited, and I really hope that he wins this election.
आज हम भारतीय कम्युनिटी, पूरी साउथ एशियन कम्युनिटी, सिख कम्युनिटी, मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी, हिंदूज, आज हम भारतीय मूल के लोग यहाँ पे बड़ी तादाद में वाइट हाउस के बाहर खड़े हैं. पूरी साउथ एशियन कम्युनिटी के लोग हैं, बल्कि पूरी दुनिया के लोग आए हुए हैं. और प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप की जो विक्ट्री होने वाली है, उसकी खुशी में यहाँ ढोल और नगाड़े बज रहे हैं बिल्कुल वाइट हाउस के बाहर. और हमारी कम्युनिटी यहाँ पे उसका एक बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा बनी हुई है. जो अभी रुझान आ रहे हैं जो इलेक्शंस के, उसमें प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप की जीत काफ़ी पॉजिटिव लग रही है. जो विक्ट्री है वो काफ़ी नैरो हो चुकी है, और विस्कॉन्सिन और पेंसिल्वेनिया में उनकी लीड बरकरार है. और हमें लगता है कि वो बिल्कुल, हालांकि अभी तक फाइनल नतीजे आए नहीं हैं, पर हमें लगता है कि कुछ ही घंटों में प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप जो हैं वो अमेरिका के नए राष्ट्रपति चुन लिए जाएंगे. और हमारी पूरी जो साउथ एशियन कम्युनिटी है, जो सिख कम्युनिटी है, जो भारतीय मूल के लोग हैं, उन
I predicted that seems to me between 1 and 2 o'clock, more like 1:30, he will be declared, President Trump will be declared as the 47th president. And that's what happened. But no, I have been predicting this thing for quite a while. And that is, if you just go back to 2016, in 2016, the morning of the election day, Hillary was ahead 5 to 6 points on every swing state. So if you just apply proper math, what will amount to will be, and at that point, President Trump won by a very few votes, but he won.
Now, what are the implications of Donald Trump's thumping victory in this election for India and American ties with India? Now, as far as trade is concerned, India's trade surplus with the United States may now attract scrutiny under Trump 2.0 because the Americans might now push India to reduce trade barriers or face tariffs, because Trump has actually been critical of the imposition of Indian tariffs on American imports to India. Now, The impact on Indian sectors like information technology, pharmaceuticals, as well as textiles remains to be seen. The China +1 strategy is also likely to gain momentum under the Trump administration. The Americans may now shift supply chains or diversify their own supply chains to move away from China and, of course, prioritize countries like India. As far as the Indian stock market is concerned, now Trump's protectionist agenda could ensure strong American growth. This could result possibly in Wall Street outperforming the rest of the world as far as stock markets go. As far as immigration and H-1B rules are applied, well, Trump's first term saw attempts to restrict H-1B visas. He narrowed eligibility and also increased scrutiny of applications. Well, in 2025, we could see further tightening of the eligibility criteria, if at all. That is something that Trump wishes to do. Under Trump 2.0, the number of H-1B visas, some fear, might actually be reduced. Cap system could also be adjusted to favor specialized skills. Well, we'll wait and see as to whether or not this actually materializes and whether or not there is any official proclamation to this effect made on the part of the new administration that will take over in December. For the time